Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive, right into the heart of Casablanca's art scene.
Ooh, Casablanca.
Yeah, we're going to be exploring Hamza Boussedra's exhibition
Okay.
at the Residence Assayag
Oh,
called Bousbir.
interesting.
Um, and it's, you might be thinking, oh, just another art exhibition, but
Right.
this one's a little bit different. We're not just talking about, the aesthetics of the art itself,
Right.
but we're really diving deep into urban resilience and memory and how a place's past shapes the present.
Yeah, what I find fascinating is that this exhibition, it's reflecting the very environment it inhabits.
Right.
The Residence Assayag itself, designed in the 1930s by French architect Maurice Boyer,
Wow.
it's this striking Art Deco building that's witnessed Casablanca's transformation firsthand.
It's like the building is part of the exhibition almost,
Yeah,
adding another layer to the whole thing.
definitely.
And speaking of layers, we're also going to be talking about Alex Bego,
Oh, cool.
who's a Russian photographer who lives in the Residence Assayag.
Wow, imagine living in a piece of history
I know.
while an artist is using that space to reflect on, a vanishing district.
It's a really cool convergence of perspectives.
For sure. And speaking of unique perspectives, Hamza Boussedra himself is not just a multidisciplinary artist, but
Yeah.
also a creative copywriter,
Oh, interesting.
which I think adds a really interesting dimension.
How do you think that background in, shaping narratives for brands affects his artistic approach?
I think that's a great question. It makes you wonder how his experience with words influences his visual storytelling.
Totally. So what's he trying to capture with the Bousbir exhibition?
So in his own words, he's drawn to the Bousbir district as it slowly fades away.
Hmm.
He wants to capture its essence, its secrets, before they're lost to urban development.
Right.
He says it's not about rewriting history, but more about observing the present state of this disappearing district.
That's cool. There's a poetry to that.
Absolutely.
Like these fleeting moments, these contemporary ruins, as
Mm.
he calls them.
Yeah.
Capturing that before they disappear.
It speaks to the resilience of a place, like its ability to persist even in the face of change.
Totally.
What I find really interesting is how he uses this term aesthetics of the third world
Okay.
to describe this beauty emerging from decay.
Interesting.
It's not about romanticizing hardship. We're recognizing the unique character and resilience that arise from places marked by history.
So he's challenging us to look beyond the surface,
Right.
to find beauty in unexpected places.
Exactly.
So how does this translate into the actual photographs? What are we seeing?
So one installation that I think captures this idea really well involves broken mirrors and motorcycle rear view mirrors
Oh, wow.
scattered across the floor.
Okay.
Some are placed randomly, some reflect light in specific ways, creating this fragmented, distorted view.
Interesting.
And this is juxtaposed with this serene photograph of three motorcycles parked by a vast ocean.
It's interesting that broken mirrors feel so symbolic.
Right.
Like you're trying to piece together a memory or see the world through multiple distorted perspectives.
Exactly. And the contrast with the ocean scene is really intriguing.
Yeah, like that vastness of the ocean, the calm horizon,
Right.
and then these broken mirrors.
Exactly. And he even adds a flashlight to the installation.
Oh, wow.
Its beam is focused on the mirrors, emphasizing the act of searching,
Right.
trying to illuminate the past.
Even though it's obscured,
Yeah.
this interplay of light and shadow is powerful.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like light is a metaphor for memory itself.
Definitely illuminating certain fragments while others remain hidden.
Right. And that theme of fragmented memory continues in another piece.
Tell me about it.
There's a cracked glass panel
Mm-hmm.
with photographs embedded beneath the surface,
Okay.
and the cracks distort the images,
Interesting.
making them difficult to decipher.
It's like memories fading or becoming obscured over time.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then there's a sepia-toned photograph of a draped object.
Okay.
Its shape is ambiguous, and it's set against this backdrop of urban decay.
Interesting.
It's printed on this semi-transparent fabric, so it has this ghostly, ethereal quality.
Like a whisper from the past.
Yeah.
A memory that's lost its clear form.
I'm seeing how these simple elements are transformed.
Yeah.
Broken glass mirrors,
Right.
light, become these potent metaphors for memory and decay.
Definitely. He's using those materials in a way that goes beyond their literal meaning.
Right.
He's inviting us to think about deeper themes.
And it all connects back to the Residence Assayag itself.
Absolutely. The building with its own history and layers of transformation becomes a participant in this dialogue about time and change.
That's what makes this exhibition so fascinating.
For sure.
It's not just about the art itself,
Right.
but about how it interacts with the space, with the viewer, and the historical context.
And that's where I think Alex Bego's perspective becomes really interesting, you know, as the resident photographer.
Yeah, he's seeing it through a completely different lens.
Exactly. It adds another layer of complexity to the whole experience.
I want to hear more about his perspective.
Yeah.
But I think we need to take a little break before we dive into that.
Absolutely. Let's take a moment to absorb what we've learned so far and come back refreshed. Part 2 of our deep dive into the Bousbir exhibition.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Hamza Boussedra's Bousbir exhibition. We've been exploring how he uses evocative imagery to delve into themes of urban resilience and the passage of time. And as you've heard, the Residence Assayag itself plays a crucial role in shaping the experience.
It's amazing how this building with its own history, you know, seems to amplify those themes of transformation and memory. And we were about to talk about Alex Bego, a
Yes.
photographer who lives in the Residence Assayag. What a vantage point.
Can you imagine living in a space that's both your home and a living piece of history,
Right.
and then having it become the canvas for this exhibition that explores, you know, those very themes?
It's a really cool intersection of life and art.
It is. So what does Alex make of all of this? How does he, as a resident, view Hamza's work? Yeah.
Well, he's described it as powerful and moving, particularly because of its location. He feels that Hamza's work really invites viewers to consider this complex interplay of memory and loss and social interaction that are woven into the history of Bousbir and Casablanca as a whole.
He's really connecting with the emotional core of the exhibition.
He is.
Does he see Hamza's exploration of aesthetics of the third world as a way to, you know, reframe our understanding of beauty?
I think Alex appreciates how Hamza challenges those conventional notions of beauty.
Right.
You know, it's not about prettiness, it's about highlighting the unique character and resilience that emerge from places that are often overlooked or even dismissed.
Don't just glance at the surface, look deeper.
Exactly. There's beauty to be found in the unexpected and the traces of the past.
And this idea of looking deeper, I keep thinking about Hamza's background as a copywriter.
Yes.
Do you think his experience crafting narratives affects how he presents these visual stories?
It's certainly possible. Copywriting is all about, you know, distilling these complex ideas into compelling messages.
They resonate with an audience. And maybe that training has shaped his ability to create these evocative images that speak volumes without needing a lot of explanation.
He's using visual language to create a dialogue.
Precisely. He's giving you the pieces and trusting you to assemble the narrative in your own mind.
It's like those fragmented mirrors, the distorted photographs, even the draped object.
We need to remember this building with its history is more than just a backdrop. It's another character in this story.
Absolutely.
A tangible representation of Casablanca's transformation.
It was designed by Marius Boyer in the 1930s.
Yes.
What else can you tell us about his vision? What made it so innovative?
Well, for one thing, it was one of the first buildings in Casablanca to incorporate a basement for car parking. Wow. In the 1930s.
Can you imagine envisioning a future where automobiles would be so prevalent?
That's incredible. He was thinking ahead.
He was, and he also incorporated a ventilation system for the stairwells and, you know, kitchens equipped with modern amenities.
Oh, ahead of his time.
He was.
This building, which now serves as this canvas for Hamza's exploration of a vanishing district, was itself a symbol of progress.
It's like a living paradox.
Yeah. It shows how the past shapes the present.
While reminding us that what was once new eventually becomes history.
It's a reminder that even as things change, those echoes of the past remain.
And I think that's what Hamza is trying to capture in his exhibition. He's inviting us to consider how these echoes, these fragments of memory, contribute to our understanding of the present.
What stories do these spaces hold?
Exactly. What can we learn from them as we navigate our own constantly evolving urban landscapes?
What happens to the memories of a place when its physical form changes?
It's the question, isn't it? Do they vanish completely, or do they linger in some way?
Those are great questions. Hamza's exhibition might offer some answers.
It might.
Or at least spark some insightful discussions.
Let's take another pause here and let these ideas settle before we move on to the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Bousbir exhibition.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting as we've been talking about Hamza's work
And
the Residence Assayag itself. I keep thinking about Salma Barmani,
right?
the curator,
Yeah.
and what she said in the introduction to the exhibition.
Her insights definitely frame our understanding of it.
Yeah, she talks about Bousbir as a place of history and ambivalences.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, it acknowledges the complex layers.
Right.
You know, these urban spaces,
Yeah.
they're not just blank canvases.
Right. They carry the weight of history,
Exactly.
of social change, of personal stories.
Both joyful and tragic.
Yes. And it's so interesting how she goes on to say that the exhibition aims to create a space for introspection and dialogue.
It's not just about passively observing.
You're actively engaging with it.
Yeah. You're letting the images spark conversations.
Challenge assumptions.
Make you think about your own relationship with urban spaces.
Exactly.
And the memories that they hold.
Yeah.
It's like he's using his art as this catalyst
Right.
to get us thinking about how do we preserve the memories of a place?
As it transforms.
What happens to those stories?
When the physical landscape changes.
And that's where using the Residence Assayag for this exhibition is just genius.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not a neutral backdrop.
It's a participant.
Yeah. It embodies these themes of transformation and resilience.
In such a tangible way.
We talked about how Marius Boyer's vision for the Residence Assayag was so ahead of its time.
Right.
You know, that basement parking garage in the 1930s.
It makes you wonder if he could have ever envisioned this.
I know. Could he have foreseen that his building would become a space for contemporary art?
Almost a century later.
Exploring the very themes of urban change that he witnessed during his time.
It's impossible to know for sure.
Right.
But there's a poetry to that idea that this architectural masterpiece that once symbolized progress now serves as this canvas for reflecting on those same forces.
It speaks to the enduring power of architecture.
Absolutely.
How these spaces we create outlive their original purpose.
And take on new meanings as time goes on.
It makes me wonder if there's a kind of creative energy that inhabits certain spaces.
I like that.
A spirit of innovation and artistic expression that lingers.
Perhaps the Residence Assayag, with its history,
Yeah.
has become a vessel for these creative energies.
Drawing in artists like Hamza
And photographers like Bego.
to explore this intersection of past, present, and future.
Exactly.
Think about it. We've learned so much.
Just from descriptions and reviews.
It's incredible. It's like we haven't even seen the photographs.
Yet we've been transported to Bousbir,
I know.
felt the weight of history,
In the Residence Assayag.
contemplated those universal themes of memory, decay, and resilience.
It's the beauty of a deep dive.
It is. We started with a single exhibition
And it's opened up this whole world.
of ideas and perspectives.
It's given us all these questions to think about.
Yeah. Right. How do we engage with the past as our cities evolve?
What responsibility do we have to preserve those memories?
Even as the physical landscape changes?
Can art help us make sense of it all?
These are questions worth exploring.
I agree.
And I encourage all of you listening to continue this journey.
Yeah.
Seek out art that challenges you.
Delve into the history of your own cities.
Pay attention to the whispers of the past.
You never know what insights await.
You don't. And if you ever find yourselves in Casablanca,
Yes.
I highly recommend visiting the Residence Assayag.
Experience Hamza Boussedra's Bousbir exhibition
Let his art be your guide.
as you navigate these complex and fascinating themes. Until next time, keep diving deep.